As we come to our second to last section of Unit 2, which is 2.7, we are going to start putting everything together. In 2.7, your goal and objective is that you will be able to write the equation of a line given 2 points. You're not going to be just given a graph. You're not going to be given a point and a slope. Today, you're just going to be given 2 points, the coordinates of 2 points. Once you have those, the question is, what do we do with it? How do we get to our equation? As soon as you have your title and objective, go ahead and move on. So, before we get started, let's review what we do know. We do know a formula for finding slope. Can you remember it before I write it? M, or slope, is equal to, we do y2 minus y sub 1 all over x2 minus x sub 1. That's one formula. When we have the coordinates of 2 points, we can find the slope. The next formula that we know is point-slope form. We've been practicing that one the last 2 days. That is y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. Yes, I actually want you writing the name of the formula and then writing the actual formula out. Now, slope-intercept form, just a quick reminder, we may start in point-slope, but we always want to end in slope-intercept or y equals form. We want to be in y equals mx plus b. These are the 3 formulas that we have been working closely with this entire unit. So knowing that these are the 3 formulas, once you have them written, what can you tell me or find out if I were to just give you the coordinates of 2 points? Which one of these formulas helps you when you have the coordinates of 2 points? Well, that would be right here when we have a y sub 1 and a y sub 2. Those are for coordinates from 2 points. So when we are given 2 points, the first thing we do want to find is the slope. So that's where we do y sub 2 minus y sub 1, 5 minus 7, all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So 4 minus 3. That would be 5 minus 7 is negative 2. 4 minus 3 is 1. That is a downward falling slope of negative 2. So anytime you are given the coordinates of 2 points, the very first thing that you are going to do is find the slope using the slope formula. So write this little miniature title in the middle when given 2 points. Number 1, the first thing you're going to do is find the slope, which we did right here, negative 2. Once we have found the slope, we then pick a point. So our slope was negative 2. We get to pick one of the 2 points. I'm going to go with 3, 7. You could pick 4, 5, and then see if it still works out the same for you in the end. But I'm going to go with 3, 7. If I were to go to point-slope form, I would have y minus 7 equals negative 2 times x minus 3. Now, if you're trying to do the opposite point with me and you're doing 4, 5, your point-slope form will look different from mine. Where they will come together and both be the same is when we rewrite this equation in slope-intercept form. So if you remember, we leave the left side alone. We distribute the outside slope, the negative 2, so negative 2x, and then a negative 2 times a negative 3 is a positive 6. We want to get the y by itself, so we do the opposite of the constant. So we have y equals negative 2x. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. So we get plus 13. So if you did use the other point, you should end up the same here as me with y equals negative 2x plus 13. Now this sums up all of today's lesson in a nutshell. If you are given the coordinates of 2 points, the first thing you do is find the slope using the slope formula. Once you have found the slope, you pick a point. Once you pick a point, you now have a point and a slope. You then use point-slope form. Once you're in point-slope form, it's pretty easy. We just rewrite it in y equals by using distribution and then adding or subtracting the constant over. That's where we are headed for today. So once you have those notes down in that example, go ahead and move on. Here's our first example. We have the point 0, 4 and 6, 0. Anytime I give you the coordinates of 2 points, the first thing you're going to do is find the slope. y2 minus y1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So we have negative 4 over 6. That can be reduced to negative 2/3. Now I get to pick a point, 0, 4 or 6, 0. I'm going to pick the point 6, 0. So now I have a point and a slope. So I'm going to go right into point slope form. Y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. So now I took my point and slope, and I've subbed it into point slope form. I did forget to write the formula, so take a moment. Hopefully you caught that and wrote that before I did. Always write your formula first so you know you're subbing in correctly. Now that we've subbed in, oh, look at this, minus 0. We don't really have to add plus 0 to anything, so really the left side is already isolated the y by itself. Now let's distribute. Negative 2/3 times x is just negative 2/3 x. Now a negative times a negative will be a positive. Now remember, this is 6 over 1. So when I do 2/3 times 6 over 1, 2 times 6 is 12. On the bottom, 3 times 1 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So this is plus 4. If you cross cancel, you would have seen this. And 2 times 2 is 4. There's your 4. So there's our equation. That is the whole section in a nutshell right there. We had 2 points. We found the slope. Once we had the slope, we picked one of the points. It doesn't matter. And once we have a point and a slope, we went to point slope form. We sub in our values, do our distribution, and then there was no number to add or subtract over because plus 0 is going to be plus whatever the number is, 4. That's it. So take a moment, look here at example number 2. Write down the 2 points and see if you can get all the way down to y equals like we did on the other example. Unpause the video when you're ready. So let's take a moment and see how you did. I did choose the point negative 2, 1 once I was ready to pick a point. It does not matter if you chose that point or the second one, but let's see how we did. Once we found the slope y minus y over x minus x, did you find a slope of a positive 2/3? Remember, a negative over a negative does simplify to a positive slope. Here's my point slope formula. I chose the point negative 2, 1 and the slope 3 over 2. You could have chosen either point and your final answer in slope intercept should be the same. It'll differ right here in point slope, but once we distribute and combine like terms, we should all end up on the same page. So if we find the slope 3/2, we choose our point, negative 2, 1, and we sub in those values. Careful, minus a negative does become a plus plus. Distribute your slope, you'll get 3/2 x. 3/2 times 2 came over here. 3/2 times 2 would be 6 over 2. 6 over 2 is 3. So when we multiply the 3/2 times the 2, that equals plus 3. Now we want to get rid of that constant. The opposite of negative 1 is positive 1, so we're going to add plus 1 to both sides. That leaves us with y equals 3/2 x plus 4. How did you do? If you feel good and you got it all down, go ahead and move on. So now let's take a real-life situation. We have 2 real-life situations where we're going to create the coordinates of points to represent the information. We're talking about after 4 hours of swimming, we have a total cost of 15. So the question is, which one is the independent? Which one is the dependent? Remember, independent goes on no matter what. It's not affected by the other. Time goes on no matter what. So whether you want to call it time or hours, that's fine. What changes? What depends on the time? The cost depends on the time. So now let's create our 2 ordered pairs. When we create them, the x is our time and our y is our cost. We have enough information to create the coordinates of 2 points. Remember, time is going to be your x, that's your independent. The money or the cost will be your y. So looking up here, 4 hours of swimming costs $15. So 4 hours of swimming costs $15. 6 hours of swimming costs $29. We now have the coordinates of 2 points. So the question is, what in the world do we do when we have the coordinates of 2 points? Well, we're always going to go ahead and find the slope. So y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. On top, 29 minus 15 is 14. And on the bottom, 6 minus 4 is 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 7 what? $7 per hour. So now, let's take all that information and write the equation in slope-intercept form. Remember, you have some points here and a slope, a rate, an average rate of change. We need to pick one of our 2 points to use. I'm going to go with 415 just because the numbers are smaller. If you want to just challenge yourself, try the other point and see if you make it to the correct equation in slope-intercept form. Remember the formula, y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. I'm going to sub in the values. Y minus the 15 equals, there's the slope we found of 7 times x minus x sub 1, which is 4. So now we're going to distribute that 7. We're going to get 7x minus 28. We didn't touch anything on the left side, so we leave it alone, y minus 15. So now, the only thing we have left is to move the minus 15. Well, the inverse or opposite of minus 15 is plus 15. So we're going to write plus 15 on both sides of the equation. That gives us the equation y equals 7x minus, bigger numbers negative, minus 13. So there is the equation that would be used to find your total cost no matter how many hours that you spend swimming at the pool. So go ahead, take a moment, make sure you're good, you got the ordered pairs, you found the rate of change, and you made it all the way down to slope-intercept form. When you're ready, go ahead and move on to our last example for today, where we have Johnny taking a cab. He's going from the airport to his home. The cost is $7.70 to go 6 miles. Later, he goes golfing, which is 10 miles away, and that cab costs $11.50. Take a moment, see how you do with this. Can you get yourself through this whole problem? Because this is an excellent quiz and test kind of question where I give you a real-life situation and I would ask you a series of questions. So I'm going to go ahead and pause recording and see how you can do all on your own. If you get stuck, go ahead and unpause it and see if you can get started again. So as you take a moment, look this over, how did you do? Did you see that the x, the independent variable, is distance, and then the dependent variable, the y, is the cost? The cost depends on how far the cab drives. If we take the information we were given, you should be able to find the 2 ordered pairs. 6 miles costs $7.70. 10 miles costs $11.50. Those are our 2 points. To find the average rate of change, which is the same as slope, we used our slope formula. We did y minus y, which is 380, over x minus x, which is 4. $3.80 divided by 4 is almost $1. It's 95 cents. I did use my calculator to divide 380 divided by 4. Once we have the slope, we must pick a point. Can you tell by looking here at this line which point I chose? The fact that I subbed in a 6 and a 7.70 tells you I chose the first point right here. So now I have my point slope formula, y minus 770, is equal to 95 cents, the slope, times x minus 6. I distributed the 0.95, and I got 0.95x. 0.95 times 6 is $5.70. The final step would be to add the 770 to both sides, which leaves us with y equals 95 cents times x plus $2. There is our equation in slope-intercept form. So take a moment, make sure you have all of that written down, the independent, dependent, the ordered pairs, finding the slope or the average rate of change, and then the equation in slope-intercept form. When you feel good, take a moment, look over your notes. How do you feel about writing the coordinates of 2 points, finding the slope, subbing it into point slope, and converting to slope-intercept? If you feel you are able to write the equation of a line given 2 points, you are done for the night. If you have a little bit of hesitation, feel free to go back and review.